well. We'll keep him around for a while. What do you think? I do that to mice. It must be the Marine in me. So listen, when I look at the audience here, I hear the great rendition of our national anthem. I can look up and I can see the flag of our nation, the flag of our state. I see the color guard and the youth that they represent. And what it makes me think of, every day as I wake up, I just thank God I was born an American. As you travel the world, you just have to feel that it is something special to be a part of this homeland. And as I look at this audience and I think of what we're celebrating today, I think of the independence of America and what it has stood for, and what Los Osos, those bears who first raised the flag in this plaza, they were inspired by our very founding fathers to do great things for the independence and freedom of the nation. And when they established the California Republic on June 14th, 1846, they were following in the footsteps of the founding fathers of the nation in terms of the ideals of this nation. And at that time, Texas has only been admitted to the Union. There were only 28 states represented on the flag of the United States in 1846. There was a war that had already been declared, and the people here really didn't know that since May 13th, just a month before, the United States had been at war with Mexico. And so, but nonetheless, they pursued their ideals of freedom here. And so it's fitting that we honor them, we remember them. And I want to thank the Native Sons of the Golden West and their sister organization, the Native Daughters of the Golden West, who preserve, all of the history of the great places and events that have occurred in California. If you drive, like I do, we have 280 wonderful state parks, and they literally go from the borders of Nevada and Arizona to the Pacific Ocean, and from the Tijuana border with Mexico to the border of Oregon at the great Redwood National Forest, State National Forest up north. If you drive along the many trails, if you walk the many trails, you will see where the Native Sons of the Golden West have left a marker to preserve the history and the culture of this great state. And for that, they deserve a solid round of applause. I believe that a nation that loses its culture loses its way. And it's very important for all generations who sit here today to understand the importance. And the congressman said it right. If the nation wants to see what it is going to be in the next decade, it needs to look at California. We represent the diversity, the ingenuity, the independence of mind, and a future that is going to bring great success, not just to the state, but it'll lead the way for our nation. California has been wise. In 1864, matter of fact, in June of 1864, a group of Californians were in Washington, D.C. And at that time, if you will recall, one of the great events in our nation's history was occurring. I would ask you what that was, but I stopped embarrassing audiences a long time ago. You know that this nation and Abraham Lincoln was involved in the decisions of the Civil War. The worst war in terms of casualties that this nation has ever fought. All other wars combined do not to this day add up to what brother did to brother, father did to son, cousins did to each other, and friends and neighbors did to each other. but they fought for the same ideals of our founding fathers, one side or the other. The ideals were similar. Those Californians who came to visit Lincoln, they wanted to preserve some very unique lands, Yosemite and the Mariposa Grove. And they convinced him, as he wrangled with Congress over the 13th and 14th Amendment, and he urged his generals to conclude the nation's bloodiest war. He took time out. He took time out to listen to them and grant them the lands that we know now as Yosemite National Park and the Mariposa Grove. That was on June 30th, 1864. The governor accepted those lands in September. From that point on, California became the leader in all things environmental and in the preservation of not only our natural resources, but our cultural resources. California has led the way. If we did not preserve Yosemite, if we did not preserve the Mariposa Grove, we would not have a Clean Water Act. We would not have a Clean Air Act. We would have pillaged every tree of the forest. Californians should be proud that their nation had the very first state park and that Yosemite was preserved for all generations. So for 7 generations now, 7 generations, if you've been to the Middle East, you know that 7 generations is important, because if you hand something down for 7 generations, that means you have done.
We got 911.
Do you have a doctor here?
Doctor, someone doctor,
Nurse,
EMT nurse, fireman, doctor, nurse, EMT.
Bag.